The spotlight always comes with a promise eternal youth. But to achieve a face that never fades, what price did they really pay? In this video, 10 icons step into a dangerous game, gambling their very identity to challenge time itself. This isn't just about beauty, it's about the consequences. Leave a comment with 1 if you're impressed by the courage it took to redefine themselves. Leave a comment with 0 if you feel a sense of loss for the original beauty that's now gone. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to join us as we uncover the shocking truths behind the velvet curtain of Hollywood. Within the cathedral of extravagant dreams, Donatella Versace was never just a designer. She was an embodiment of authority, crowned with radiant platinum hair and a piercing gaze capable of reshaping an entire culture. Her beauty was not built on conventional softness, but radiated from a singular aesthetic philosophy and an absolute command of her world. She stood as the very manifestation of fashion power, where every contour of her face told a story of fearless confidence. At that time, she didn't simply wear Versace. She was Versace, a living symbol of pride and a visionary aesthetic far ahead of its time. Yet as the invisible pressures of an industry that worships eternal beauty began to weigh heavily, Donatella embarked on a bold journey of redefining her physical form. What started as subtle interventions, mere delicate strokes meant to preserve the glow, gradually blurred the line between refinement and a full reconstruction of identity. The silent battle against the laws of time pushed her onto a path of continuous intervention, where innate confidence was slowly replaced by dependence on technology. The sharp features that were once her greatest weapon transformed into a state of still sculpted permanence, detached from the natural movement of a living being. Donatella's story becomes a profound lesson about the limits of artificial methods when measured against the grandeur of creation itself. The true tragedy does not lie in the marks left by time, but in a worldview where aging is seen as a flaw to be erased at any cost. Even absolute power and unimaginable wealth cannot buy immunity from biological law. Her pursuit of perfection ultimately leaves behind a legacy of reflection that the most enduring beauty is found not in extreme resistance, but in balance where personal desire meets restraint and flows in harmony with the natural passage of time. Once reigning at the pinnacle of luxury in New York, Jocelyn Wildenstein possessed not only supreme material privilege, but also embodied a consuming desire to conquer the cruelty of time. Within a world of dazzling parties, she turned her life into an experimental stage where money became the paintbrush used to redraw features that once belonged to the laws of nature. Yet behind the radiant glamour lay a primal fear of impermanence, a psychological state that drove her into a one-way journey of sculpting the self with no path of return. That journey went far beyond mere refinement of appearance. It became a bold and enigmatic existential transformation. Step by step, the traces of her former elegance gradually dissolved, giving way to unfamiliar geometric structures, frozen in a state of eternal stillness. This was no longer a simple story of aesthetics, but a true migration of identity into an entirely new form. In trying to escape the rule of age, she inadvertently created a symbol of fierce defiance against nature itself, leaving the public to ask, where is the line between rediscovering who we are and losing the one original self within the maze of endless change? Jocelyn's story leaves a haunting resonance, like a whispered warning echoing through today's image-obsessed industry. When the fear of fading overwhelms reason, one can be drawn into a fateful trade, erasing an old face in exchange for an unfamiliar form that cannot be undone. It is a lesson in freedom of choice, yet also a kind of imprisonment within the very image one has created. Her life reminds us of the fragile balance between the desire to control our appearance and the respect owed to the marks of time, those very traces that give depth and soul to an authentic human existence. In the golden age of romantic cinema, Meg Ryan was more than a star, she was a symbol of pure authenticity. Her face was once considered a visual legacy, where every smile and glance carried a magical ability to connect with millions of hearts. Audiences were drawn to her not for an untouchable perfection, but for the emotional resonance found in even the smallest flicker of feeling. At that time, her appearance was a symphony of naturalness, a wordless yet powerful language that affirmed her place as an irreplaceable America's sweetheart. However, as the curtain of time slowly fell, a quiet shift took place, creating a startling distance between past and present. When once expressive features were replaced by strangely still and fuller structures, it was not merely a physical change, but a rupture in the public's trust. Intervention in those defining traits inadvertently erected an invisible barrier obscuring the transparency of the soul, the very foundation of her celebrated career. When a face loses its ability to tell a story, the bond between actor and audience suddenly becomes more fragile than ever. Meg Ryan's story becomes a profound lesson about the cost of trying to preserve youth at any price. In an environment where a star's appearance is woven into the cultural memory of an era, altering it becomes a high-stakes gamble with one's legacy. She did not lose her appeal because of the marks of age, but because the original self in which audiences had placed their trust quietly disappeared. This stands as a deeply unsettling reminder. Sometimes accepting the traces of time is the only way to truly preserve the essence of an icon, rather than imprisoning oneself in a foreign form that is visually intact yet emotionally hollow. Over several decades, Priscilla Presley embodied timeless elegance, a rose intertwined with the dazzling legacy of Elvis Presley. Her image carried the breath of history, restraint, and an almost serene poise. However, her journey to preserve beauty veered into a darker path when she inadvertently placed her trust in promises of a harmless beauty method. This was not merely a medical mishap, but a catastrophe of deception. What was advertised as subtle refinement left irreversible marks on a face that was once the epitome of perfection. The transformation did not stem from extreme desire, but from a false sense of security. The lumps beneath the skin and structural imbalances transformed her appearance into a living testament to the hidden risks of the beauty industry. Priscilla did not choose silence. She bravely acknowledged her regrets and the mistakes of misplaced trust. Yet that honesty could not restore the natural features that were lost. Her story became a resounding warning. Even the most powerful figures can fall victim to impulsive decisions. Today, her legacy encompasses not only music and film, but also a profound lesson in staying vigilant against the temptations of artificial beauty. Priscilla Presley's story is a wake-up call about the fragile line between the desire for perfection and the trap called harmless beauty. She bravely admitted her mistakes, turning personal pain into a lesson in awareness for others. What do you think about her journey and the painful honesty she showed? Leave comment number 2 if you empathize and appreciate her courage in facing the truth. Leave comment number 5 if you have a different perspective or feel the price she paid was too high. Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow more stories and lessons behind the spotlight. Pete Burns never accepted existing within conventional definitions. He was an architect of the unconventional, turning his very being into a bold, experimental work of art. With sharp androgynous beauty and a forward-thinking musical mind, he used his appearance as a language to challenge every boundary of society. At the height of his brilliance, Pete Burns did not just sing. He sculpted an icon of self-liberation, where the artist's body became the sole bridge between reality and the most distant dreams of imagination. However, over time, the flame of self-reinvention gradually turned into an uncontrollable inner storm. What began as a desire to perfect his style inadvertently pushed him into an endless cycle of construction. As artificial enhancements gradually replaced natural foundations, his life shifted from a period of artistic brilliance to a path of relentless crisis management. His face, once a canvas of vibrant rebellion, became a battlefield of futile attempts to counteract harsh complications, serving as a stark testament to the fragility of a soul trying to rewrite the biological history of itself. Until the final moments of his life journey, Pete Burns' legacy left a haunting resonance about the cost of extreme transformation. He embodied a painful paradox, an artist yearning for self-liberation, yet ultimately imprisoned within the very layers of structure he had created. His story is not just a record of fame, but a profound lesson in valuing the original self. It reminds us that in the pursuit of intangible ideals, preserving a core piece of our natural being is the only way to safeguard the soul against the erosion of time and the obsessions of fleeting glamour. Tori Spelling was once the perfect girl next door in the public eye, a symbol of approachability and youthful charm. Audiences connected with her not because of superhuman beauty, but because of the authenticity and natural emotion reflected on her face. However, under the relentless pressures of Hollywood's spotlight, the erosion of identity began quietly. Small adjustments, rhinoplasty fillers initially seemed insignificant, but their cumulative effect created a profound facial disconnect. Tori's transformation did not come from a sudden shock, but as a result of treating cosmetic surgery as a form of routine maintenance. Her natural, soft features gradually gave way to a sharp, tense, and unfamiliar appearance. The consequences were not only aesthetic, but also directly impacted her career. The loss of authenticity fractured the connection between her and the audience. Roles requiring deep empathy became increasingly unattainable as facial expressions were restricted by physical interventions. Her story serves as a striking example of the dangers of altering one's appearance too early, when personal identity has yet to fully form, swept away by fleeting beauty trends. It is a quiet erasure of self, reminding us that small decisions can accumulate into long-lasting emotional and professional consequences. In the late 90s, the music world witnessed not just the rise of a star, but the emergence of a powerful architect of identity. Lil' Kim entered the hip-hop scene with a bold declaration of confidence, breaking all traditional barriers to redefine femininity. She didn't just perform. She created a new visual language where audacity and power merged as one. During that golden era, every move she made asserted her leadership, transforming her into an icon of liberation and an inspiration for a generation eager to assert a unique sense of self. However, behind the glow of rebellion was a grueling inner battle against the invisible pressures of the image-driven industry. As public expectations and harsh standards became a heavy burden, a restructuring of reality quietly unfolded on her own body. Changes in tone and contours were not merely physical adjustments, but reflections of her efforts to find stability within an ever-shifting value system. This journey stands as a testament to the complex interplay between human psychology and the desire for acceptance, where every alteration carries the hope of a fresh start, yet is fraught with deep questions about original identity. Lil Kim's story leaves a profound philosophical lesson about the cost of existing under the spotlight. The tragedy lies in the paradox itself. A woman who once inspired millions with her message of freedom inadvertently became trapped within the very standards she had sought to defy. When mastering one's appearance turns into an endless pursuit to please unfamiliar eyes, the legacy of a rebellious icon suddenly becomes a reminder of the fragility of identity. It serves as a warning about trading one's true self for recognition and poses an open question about the line between self-reinvention and being dissolved into preordained molds. Hollywood isn't just dazzling with smiles, it also hides staggering costs that not everyone dares to pay. What do you think about the beauty gamble of these icons? Does perfection truly exist, or is it just a dangerous illusion? Leave your comment below. We're eager to hear your perspective on the most shocking story in this list. If these truths give you pause, don't forget to like and subscribe now to continue uncovering the untold secrets behind the Hollywood spotlight. Thank you for joining us. The next truth awaits you in our upcoming video. Goodbye.